Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2C TV, your global news channel. I'm Maya 2C and this is your latest news update from the conflict in the Middle East, specifically in Gaza, as the Hamas leaders have suddenly disappeared and cut off contact as the Israeli Defense Forces are preparing to annex part of Gaza following the failure of the Islamists in the region to actually negotiate and to actually come up with some sort of deal. We're going to give you guys the latest updates in this live stream. There's a number of videos we're going to show you. There's also the live feed that we have from Gaza, the Israeli-Gazan border. Every few seconds, every half a minute or so, we do hear some explosions happening. It's a little bit dark there, but you can actually hear the explosions as the IDF continue their operation. But first things first, before we start, I believe we are getting close to the end. I'm not talking about Gaza. We're getting close to the end of actually closing the tickets to the new media conference, with the first ever international new media conference in London on the 9th of August. We are bringing together new media outlets from all around the world. You can use the promo code 2C50 to get 50% off the tickets by going on 2cevents.tv. Unfortunately, we have already run out. We've sold out the after party tickets and the breakfast tickets, I think. But you can get the actual conference tickets. Make sure to do it. I think today and tomorrow is the last day before the last release. We might release a couple more, but the prices will go up. This is your last chance to get your tickets. Now, first things first, let's talk about the first video we have for you guys. Southern Gaza. You might have already seen this video on social media, but it's very important, linked to what's going on with the leaders, Gaza leaders, Hamas. 8 trucks being hijacked by jihadi gangs, armed groups who are basically causing trouble. Let's go to that. This is where we're going to talk about the issue with the humanitarian aid as well, because there's a lot of nonsense coming from the Western mainstream media. This is what they're doing to the aid. That's why people can't get anything. They are hijacking it, stealing the whole thing, as usual. And there are different factions, different groups doing this. Just a casual day in Gaza. We're getting some updates. So we have a statement from Hamas, finally. Look at that. Someone said in the live chat, GTA Gaza. This is why it's a mess. But they're still going to blame Israel for this. They're going to blame Israel, even though it's their own people doing it. Anyway. Complete mayhem. From this moment, everything obviously kicked off, right? There were a lot of people in Gaza who are still furious with Hamas because, well, they're stealing all the humanitarian aid. There are also other factions, jihadi factions, who are also stealing the humanitarian aid. The ordinary Gazans don't know what to do. Israel has found a new solution, but apparently the media and the United Nations are now blaming Israel and attacking Israel for that solution, which we're going to discuss. But the next clip shows a Palestinian man basically saying, "May God curse every single member of Hamas and anybody who loves Hamas." Let's go to that video. This can't blame them. But every time they do this, they're also going to get into trouble because Hamas are going to find them and torture them as usual. Anyway, that happened. But then the biggest problem we started to see in regards to the situation, these are the Hamas members. They are fully fed. And they are posting pictures on social media, by the way, bragging about the fact that they are having the best time of their life because they are protected, they are shielded, they are in their tunnels, but they have lots of food. They're fine because they know what they're doing. And if the other Gazans who are anti-Hamas try to protest as usual, well, they're going to get killed anyway because the international community don't actually care about those people. But there's a bit of a drama right now as we speak. We have actually received some breaking news statements, short statements from Hamas. But firstly, they said this, because both sides have been negotiating, trying to find some sort of final deal so that the Hamas leaders will leave Gaza and then, of course, they can rebuild this. Senior political sources have said that Hamas have now cut off contact and they are not interested in negotiating. There's no one to talk to on the other side. Another political source have also said, unfortunately, there will be no deal. It looks like this is over, which means that the plan that the IDF had is now, at this point, as we speak, will go ahead to at least annex part of Gaza to keep pushing the Hamas leadership out, whether they want to go to Egypt or wherever they want to go, which means, by the way, this is the same outcome. Whether they do a deal or no deal, the Hamas leaders will be pushed out. So it's probably best if they do a deal, so they could get something out of it, some sort of protection from Egypt or someone, or Qatar. But that's not happening, which means they're going to have to do it by force. Gazans are also, there's a video we're going to show you, they are dumping flour on the floor, on the ground, where all their humanitarian aid, to keep the sacks. Why? The empty sacks. The reason for this is because over the last few days, the Palestinians in Gaza, the so-called Palestinians, have been asking where they can find Nutella. Nutella, you know, the chocolate. Over 100 aid trucks have entered North Gaza via Zikim today. Looters have prioritized grabbing high-value items like Nutella and sugar, but they ran out of sacks to carry them in, so they are getting rid of the flour to make room for more profitable goods, so they could then sell it to the others. I'm not really sure with what sort of currency at this point, but this is what's happening to it. Let's go to the video. Just getting rid of the flour. Idiots. They're insane, look at it. All that for sugar and Nutella. because that's the new commodity. They think they're being clever. As long as the Nutella is halal. But Israel continues to open border crossings for the large amounts of humanitarian aid. Obviously, they all get hijacked by the Islamists. It's a lose-lose situation. But the solution that the IDF also had, apart from doing that, is to do the airdrops. The whole of the international community are having a meltdown because of the airdrops. The reason they did the airdrops, and we're going to show you, I think we have a video actually after this. We're going to show you now. Gazans, that's the only way ordinary people who are not part of any of the factions, Hamas, Islamic Jihad or others, that's the only way they can actually go and collect something at this point. Hundreds of Gazans were receiving the aid that was supplied from the northern side of Gaza, but also the airdrop. That's the only way they could do it.
We came to get aid in order to provide for the children. I have a family of 8 members. I want to provide for my children, even if a quarter bag of flour.
8 members.
To go bake and make my children happy, like other people and the neighbors. How they bake at the bakery. We want to provide our children with some flour. This is what we want.
Yeah. So, firstly, 8 members? Okay. Having said that, each to their own, I guess, their lifestyle, if they want to keep having babies in poverty. Having said that, the the terrorism activities continues regardless of the fact that the Hamas leaders have just disappeared. They're not contacting anyone. The statement I wanted to show you or read for you guys is that it just came out a few minutes ago after they cut off contact because they didn't want to negotiate. They have said why. The excuse is they say, we, as in Hamas, they say, we are starving and we can't negotiate because we are hungry. You're not hungry. We know you're not hungry. I mean, everybody can see. And it wasn't just the couple of photos I showed you. All the other videos, we can see the Hamas members stealing the trucks and everything else. So many other clips and pictures have come out. There's a lot of evidence. You guys are not starving in the tunnels. So that's the excuse that they're using, obviously. But what they're doing, they are starving their own people in Gaza. And by we, they mean the whole of Gaza. They don't mean themselves. It's just pretending. But terrorist activities continue. IDF's Kafir brigade tightened the control in Khan Yunis, arresting terrorists. They also managed to uncover a weapons depot and destroyed a large underground tunnel, which was quite successful actually. Now this route now firmly splits the whole city. So the annexation of parts of Gaza is automatically happening anyway because the tunnel networks have now been completely split in different parts and underground as well. Whether they like it or not, essentially the idea of control of parts of Gaza is now happening. There's still a lot of political pressure on the Israeli government, but that's what you are now seeing today, as we speak, more activities from Lebanon. Remember Lebanon? Remember Hezbollah, where the Lebanese government promised to do a crackdown on Hezbollah, to disarm Hezbollah. The United Nations also said, we will try our best. That was months ago, well, technically years ago, but over the last few months. It's not happening because they are still doing their terrorist activities. But before we actually focus on that part, a Lebanese journalist, for those who are familiar, Khader Talib, was speaking on TV. This is just insane. They're not even hiding it anymore. So while the pro-Palestinian and pro-Islamist side in the West are going around saying, the problem is just the Israeli government, Zionism, right? This guy and others go on live TV and say it's the Jews and the National Socialists in Germany should have completely wiped out all the Jews. They just couldn't. And it's our job because our book told us, our book from the 7th century said we should do it. Subtitle.
وعلى الهواء يا ريت النازيين أحرقوا كل هؤلاء.
Look at that. Insane.
يوم يقول الشجر والحجر يا
Watch
مسلم
this.
يا عبد الله هذا يهودي ورائي تعال فاقتل. هي إيمان. هي الحتمية التاريخية عندنا نحن كمسلمين على الأقل. لكن القدس ستتحرر، فلسطين ستتحرر. إن شاء الله. مش اليوم، بكرة، ماشي الحال. لكن لا يجوز الاستسلام.
See the issue, right? This bit. That. All Muslim, all servant of Allah. There is a Jew behind me. Come and kill him. This has been the usual narrative that's been going on for centuries and centuries. Nothing to do with Israel or even the so-called Palestinian territory. But we have had more activities in terms of the Hezbollah side. We have also received some update from the Israeli the defense minister, Israel Katz. He did confirm that the Israeli Air Force carried out a wave of strikes within the last few hours against Hezbollah and their strategic weapons manufacturing and also storage infrastructure in the northeastern parts and also southern Lebanon. Let's quickly show you a short clip of the IAF activities. This was Lebanon. Now this was actually huge because obviously it's the job of Mossad and the IDF to keep an eye on all sides, all borders. But a lot of normal people were saying, okay, well, seems like Hezbollah is kind of sort of under control because they don't really have a proper leadership. They've kind of lost control. They were trying to regroup. They failed. Israel hit badly. Israel Katz has now also confirmed that the Israeli Air Force have successfully destroyed Hezbollah's largest and most important missile production site. So before Hezbollah even managed to get their act together, to rally the troops, to do another attack from the north, oh no, the Israeli Defense Forces were on top of it. So that's happening. Meanwhile, the Western governments, one by one, are rewarding Islamists and rewarding what happened on October the 7th. We already reported over the last few days Emmanuel Macron of France. We had Keir Starmer of Britannia. Both of them declared that they want to thank Hamas for what they did on the October the 7th. So they will be rewarded by getting a Palestinian state. They wouldn't have done it on the 6th of October, 5th of October, 4th of October 2023 or 2022, 2021. These guys were against it. They simply were waiting. The Western governments, the liberal globalists were waiting for Hamas and Islamists to carry out the attack. And now they're saying, well done. We are now going to be rewarding you with that. But we've already reported on those two countries. As of today, the latest, to add it to the list, as reported on 2c.tv, our official website, make sure obviously to download 2CTV app to stay up to date with all the news. Canada is also to recognize a Palestinian state, according to Mark Carney. Following this, we also had the update that Portugal, of all places, Portugal is also to recognize a Palestinian state as early as September. Now, there are still some sane countries. Firstly, in terms of major countries, the only two nations that we have to pay tribute to, number one, and always number one, the United States of America. Number two, Deutschland. Yes, Germany. Germany and the US, the only two major countries who are still on the right side of history. But in terms of smaller countries, big shout out to Estonia. Yes, Estonia has also said they will not recognize Palestine as a state. A quote from the Prime Minister, Kristen Michal, is saying that Estonia supports an actual two-state solution. That has been our position, but there is no state to recognize. This is logical, absolutely spot on. You can say, ideally, at this point, it's been decades and decades. Let's try to have an ambition of some sort of solution, right? Some sort of solution. But there is no such thing as a Palestinian state. You cannot recognize something that doesn't exist and never existed in the history of humanity. The fact that Estonia's prime minister knows this and the others don't care and the others want to reward the Islamists tells you a lot about what is happening in Western Europe and Canada. This is why the whole of the West is in a bit of a mess. As I said, we do still have the live feed from Gaza. Seems to be slightly calmed down. There was some explosions in the background. IDF are still obviously carrying out the operation anyway throughout the night. For now, I'm going to quickly go to the live chat. If something happens, I'll bring you guys the live feed that we have. First, which says, in a lot of your clips, you don't explain the context. We usually do before posting it. Like who is filming and where the shot was taken. Please assist in future. Thank you. Okay, depends on what we are reporting on and what country or what city. I don't think I have to explain the issue we have when it comes to Gaza. Firstly, anything that you're seeing being filmed is filmed by Palestinians. That's kind of obvious. That part I don't think I have to explain. It's not the French filming in Gaza or the Israeli Jews. It's not the Jews. The problem with Gaza, you can never tell where anything is anymore. That's why you can't tell. We give you guys all the context every time we show you a clip or a map or an image where it was. So earlier on, I did say it's from Khan Yunis. But the exact location of which McDonald's from Gaza they're filming it from, I can't tell you that. Because that's the only part that's a bit of a mess. 24.6 million Sudanese hungry, 755,000 starving, and the Gazans are just dumping flour that could be sent to Sudan and Yemen and many other places as well. They don't care. But it's not even actually about the Gazans. It's actually about the rest of the international community who don't say this, who don't care about this. They don't care about all those people who are currently being oppressed, tortured, and starved in most of the world right now. Not just Sudan or Yemen, North Korea. No one cares about North Korea. No one cares about the Uyghurs in China, for example. No one cares about the Baluch in so-called Pakistan. No one cares about the Hindus that keep getting targeted. No one cares about the Christians in Congo or Nigeria. And by no one, I'm not talking about me and you guys. I'm talking about the international community, the ICJ, the ICC, the UN. None of them. Of course they don't care. Winslow says Jesus is the Messiah with 2H for some reason. The UK is now the baddies. Yes, well, the UK government, the UK state. Randy says the disgusting and shameful Norwegian government has the reward of recognizing the Palestinian state after a successful attack. As one of the first terrorist supporters in Europe, one by one they fall. Romy says Israel has to move in with full force and take over the whole of the Gaza Strip, bring in the aid for the population, build up campaign at the hospitals, but that can only happen after the whole place is secure. And this should have happened about a year ago, or at least over the last few months. There's been a lot of pressure on Israel not to do it. Now it has to happen. It's the only way you can actually have some peace for everybody. Someone says, fair enough, thank you. David as well. Let's get some reaction from the members of 2CTV Plus. Of course, don't forget to become a member of 2CTV Plus as well by going directly on 2c.tv. And of course, you will get 1 month free if you join as an annual subscriber. And make sure to also download the 2CTV app from your app stores today, the home of geopolitical news, to stay up to date with all the news alerts and access to documentaries, chat forum, which is right here. Deb says, here is to hoping it is the beginning of the end for Hamas. We just need the Western left to keep their noses out of it. I'm going to explain that actually. The same problem is actually happening in Iran. So today we had about 4 or 5 other explosions, or as they call it, gas leaks. This is basically the anti-IRGC side carrying out more attacks on the Islamic Republic. The Islamic Republic president in Iran, Pezeshkian, made a statement saying there's a massive crisis with water. The reservoirs and dams are going to dry up by September, and basically the regime is falling. That's what he said as well. Both when it comes to Gaza and Iran, there is still hope for both Hamas and the IRGC. If you just let nature continue, both will collapse imminently. But unfortunately, we have Europe. The continent of Europe will be able to throw a lifeline. They will be able to save both Hamas and the Islamic Republic, primarily the Islamic Republic, because you're going to have, for example, France, that has always been a historic ally to the Islamic Republic of Iran. They obviously sheltered Khomeini. They trained up the Islamists in the 1970s to do a paramilitary coup. So the French state, the French Republic, has always been pro-Islamist when it comes to Iran. These guys, in the name of helping the humanitarian crisis in Iran, they are going to go, potentially, to save the Islamic Republic. That's the only group you should be careful of. We are getting close to the end. Europe might save the Islamists again. The German foreign minister is here right now. If there is a Palestinian state, then the state is holding Israelis hostage. The state declared war on Israel. The dumbasses have just put collective punishment on the people of that state rather than just Hamas and Islamic Jihad. That is a very good point, by the way, because until now, there's been this kind of confusing situation. What is Gaza? What is Palestine, right? Because until now, especially since 2006 onwards, if you say, because over the last 20 years, since 2005-6, we've had a two-state solution. It's the only time we have had a two-state solution. Gaza controlled by the Palestinians and Israel separate. The Israelis left Gaza. They said, this is yours now. Do whatever you want to do. Stay out of this. We'll stay out of that. So that was, we did 20 years of, well, less, 18 years of a two-state solution. But during that time, and even since October the 7th, the media, the establishment in the West, they've been a little bit confused, because if they recognize Gaza as an independent entity, that means that if the government of Gaza attacks, which they did on October the 7th, then it's a declaration of war by the state of Gaza, right? The Palestinian state in Gaza, which backfires, which means Israel should do whatever they want to do at this point to defend themselves. If they go, and as they did, by saying basically Gaza is not a thing, it's Hamas, we have to say Hamas. So that means you don't actually recognize the one so-called Palestinian entity. Someone has misunderstood the geography of the region and the basic information. This person says, Gaza doesn't exist. Israel owns the land full. Gaza does exist. Gaza is a real place. You can actually go see it. It's also on Google Earth. Gaza does exist. I think what you mean is the Palestinian state. Yes, the Palestinian state doesn't exist. Gaza does exist. It's a real it's a thing. Make Gaza Jewish again. That's the only way. But yes, Hamas also does exist. It's just that Palestine doesn't exist. Never did. But yeah, that comment is absolutely spot on. It kind of created the dilemma for the West. Any nation that supports a two-state solution supports the elimination of Israel. The UN is a bunch of anti-Semitic. Yeah, based on what we know now, based on the current situation, you can't have a two-state solution. Someone said that I just saw this comment because the comment section goes up quickly, so I can't read beforehand. But I just read this before I pressed on it. This one said, Tutsi TV, how can you say you stand for free speech yet delete comments that you don't agree with you? So this person, I'm guessing he assumes that Tutsi TV is a channel that has 500 subscribers and gets about 20 comments a day. We get about 3 trillion comments a day. Yes, exaggeration, but there's a reason. I have a life. We have a business to run. You think I'm going to go through the comments of the live chat every second that we get thousands of new comments and delete the ones that are... I literally promote negative comments and trolls and left-wingers and anti-Semitic people because they help the algorithm. Keep leaving comments. Keep watching the channel. You are helping the channel. So I'm not really sure how I will be able to do what this person is accusing me of. That will require a lot of multitasking, and I'm not very good at that, or patience as well. I'm guessing your YouTube app has problems. Just refresh the page, your comment might appear. I don't know what's going on. It does happen sometimes. You leave a comment and you can't see your own comment. Other people can see it. More people complain than you know. If Israel does its thing, does this mean the three stooges, Carney, Macron and Starmer, for those who don't know, won't be able to promote a two-state solution? And we keep sending funds for humanitarian aid, and these people steal most of it. You know, rats in a tunnel can be drowned. So everybody at this point, the international community, when they are talking about the two-state solution, they're not really talking about Gaza. They're not saying it, but they're not talking about Gaza. They are talking about Judea and Samaria, or as they say, the West Bank. They are trying their best to get Mahmoud Abbas to control his minions. So the United States today put more sanctions on the Palestinian Authority, which is Mahmoud Abbas in Judea and Samaria, because they want to pressure him to be the only person who can negotiate for some sort of two-state solution. Not Gaza. Forget about Gaza. Gaza, half of it should be controlled by Egypt, the rest should be controlled by Israel. But this is about Judea and Samaria. But how can you even have that negotiation when the Palestinian side continue to say, we need Jerusalem? No, it's not yours. Just because you built a mosque on top of a temple doesn't mean it's yours. That's not how it works. If you want to win, you can try and win it back, but you can't. terrorists. I think Israel should have done this a long time ago. Hamas was never going to agree to anything reasonable. They are delusional D-heads. Yes, they won't negotiate because they are hungry, but not for food. They are hungry for bloodshed. True. Hamas's allies, the UN, are ensuring that they are fighting fat. There are more comments from the members, but let's just quickly go back to the YouTube comments as well. Toddy Tarrance says, I am worried when it does actually get recognized. Because it's a bureaucratic mess. Nobody knows what they are going to be recognizing. This is not, it's just gimmick. It's just nonsense. All of them, Portugal, Canada, UK, France, and all the other weirdos, they don't know what they're doing. They're just doing it for votes. They're scared of their own voters because their countries are becoming Islamic. The Islamic Republic of France, as one of the main groups who are pushing for this sort of nonsense, it's simply because the demographic in France has changed. And also the French state, the French Republic, the Islamic Republic of France, over the last 3 decades have been helping Islamists. And they've been helping various sides. They helped create the Islamic Republic of Iran. That was the Shia side. They also helped with the ISIS side, who were the Sunni side. It's been a bit of a mess. So now they are getting the consequences. They're facing the consequences. David says that we should recognize Gaul, which was the nation where France now sits. Also give Brittany to Britain. Let's all reject colonial French nation entirely. I've no disrespect to the normal, nice, lovely French people, by the way. It's just that your governments have always been a little bit mental. Mostly. All right. Elisa says, send the Palestinians back to Egypt and Jordan. Jordan was, by default, the two-state solution. That was the whole point of Jordan as an entity, by the way. I know the world's gone mad and nothing we see or hear is real anymore, but has anyone seen my left sock? I'm late for work. Thanks for that, beam me up, Scotty. And Samuel said, thank you for what you do, sir. God bless. Thank you very much, Samuel, for your support. And Elizabeth says, how can Western countries support Islamists? It's Western European countries and Canada. Canada is basically Europe, culturally, but politically, in terms of the establishment. Europe fought for 1,000 years to keep the Ottoman Empire Muslims out of Europe. Now they are letting them walk back in. That was when Rome and Vatican was in charge of basically foreign policy. But in terms of the spiritual, cultural policy of Europe, it was being dictated by the Vatican, whether you like it or not. And that was the reason when you had all the kings and queens and dictators in Europe, rarely, they were all on the same side. That you have to make sure that the Team Christian, Team Jesus wins. You cannot allow Mohammedans to come to Europe. They saw what happened in Spain and Portugal. It was not nice. It took them a few hundred years, kicked them out eventually. But we don't have that anymore because this is the product and the consequences of ultra-liberal secular society, which again, big thanks to the French Revolution. Since the French Revolution, things started to get worse. A lot of the problems that you have in Europe in terms of political ideologies, political culture goes back to that. Actually, that also includes the paramilitary coup in Iran in 1979 by the Islamists, backed by France and CIA and MI6. That was inspired by the French Revolution. A lot of the problems you see in the world goes back to the French Revolution. Culturally, societally, in terms of the liberalism that you see, the political structure, the obsession with the concept of left and right, that was from obviously the French days, especially in the 19th century. But everything's outdated, but they're still obsessed with that sort of nonsense. Anyway, as I said, today, I think tonight is the final deadline. I should have listened to the team and they were explaining to me. We have to get your tickets because we are running out. 2C TV, we are hosting our first ever international new media conference. New Media Revolution is here. We're bringing together new media outlets from all around the world. Join us on the 9th of August in London. If you want to get more information, go on 2cevents.tv, but use the promo code 2C50 to get 50% off tickets. We're running out, last few tickets left. Go get it. And of course, as I said, don't forget to download the 2C TV app, the home of geopolitical news, and get access to all the documentaries and the chat forum and the podcast and much more. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.